It is good to know places that are quite reputable and trustworthy so you can shop around and try and at least get the, you know, the price that you're comfortable to pay with, or the lowest price that's available. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about where I buy my Hermes bags. So I do have a video already on my channel talking about where I buy my Hermes bags. So this is essentially just going to be an update to that and give some more personal kind of experiences in bags that I have more recently added to my collection. So before I dive into today's video, if you are new to my channel and you do love luxury and you love Hermes, then I would love if you would hit that subscribe button below, and also the bell so you can be notified when I upload new videos, which is twice a week on a Wednesday and on a weekend. Now let's talk about buying from the secondhand market, otherwise known as resellers, consignment stores, that sort of thing. So I do have some Hermes bags that I have bought from the secondhand market, and the latest one I did add to my collection is the Kelly Dance in Vert Cricket Ever Color. So the Kelly Dance is a re-release bag. I'm not going to go into details all too much, but essentially it's a re-released bag. So this is actually pretty hard to get. You can't buy it online on the Hermes store. It never comes up online. It is hard to get in the boutique as well. I know that in Australia they only get a couple per season. So this particular bag I did buy in the secondhand market, as I was mentioning, and I bought it from a consignment store based in Singapore called o.b.s.g. He is based on Instagram, but he does also have a actual store in Singapore. So I'm going to leave anything that I mention, any places that I bought my bags, I'll put the details on the screen, and then I'll also put the details in the description bar down below. But basically I bought from him he's based in Singapore. He is essentially what they consider to call kind of like a reseller, but really I kind of differentiate it this way. You have resellers, people that actually go to France and score items and then resell them, or you have people that have connections in France and they go and get their appointments and they try and score bags and then they resell them. I consider that to be resellers, people that are not double handling really, or it's in Europe where it is less, and they directly resell the bag, or they have a family member or a friend. It's kind of like a business for them to score and then resell the bag. That I consider to be a reseller. I consider the difference with most of the places that I shop from to be consignment stores, because they are actually people that are consigning bags that other people have scored, as to whether they've scored it from France, as to whether they've scored it at their local boutique, or as to whether it's a pre-loved bag that someone didn't want, that they no longer wanted in their collection, that sort of thing. That to me is a consignment store, someone who is consigning for someone else who is the actual owner of the bag. So that was the case when it came to this particular bag. Someone else was the owner of it. I bought it from the consignment store, o.b.s.g, and he was a consignment seller. So I know that people use the term, you know, resale, resellers. I kind of differentiate them differently. That's my differentiation, that's my explanation of it. That's what I feel is how it is, the difference between a reseller and an actual consignment store. So there is, of course, resellers, and you do see them all over Instagram quite typically. You even see them on Facebook groups, and they score the bags from France and then they resell them, or they have a family member or someone who's based in France who ships the bags back to them, whether they're in the US, even if they're in Australia, and they resell them, but they're directly linked to that person. It's not like the other person is still the owner of the bag. It's like their business. But anyways, enough said about that. So hopefully I've kind of explained that a little bit. But I highly recommend that consignment store where I got this bag from. He was fantastic to deal with. The owner is Stan. He's also got another consignment store called Trove by SGD, and they are both affiliated with one another. Essentially they are owned by the same people. But Trove by SGD mostly focuses on a bit more pre-loved items. Moving along, updating you further on another bag that I did add to my collection that was bought in the secondhand market, and that is the Hermes Constance 24 in Rose Azuli Evercolor leather. This was bought pre-loved, and again it was bought from a consignment store, and the consignment store is called Ginza Zyoma. They are a Japanese-based consignment store. They do have their own website, but they also have their own Instagram, and I prefer to shop their Instagram because I just find that it's I don't know, the photos are nicer to sort of look at. I also find that sometimes on the Instagram they do have better deals, but they do have their own website. I have bought from them before in the past, like other items, but now I more regularly look at them for Hermes items. So Hermes Ginza Zayoma, very reputable business, has been around for a very, very long time. Fantastic owners, fantastic salespeople to deal with. I had a very pleasant experience with them. Even now, to this very day, I'm still in contact with them, you know, letting them know some things that I'm looking for. With Japan, I do tend to find that the pre-loved prices are fairly reasonable, but when they're brand new, they are very expensive because the Japanese market, well, the Japanese pricing is very high. It's very expensive. I believe that Japan is probably the most expensive place to get Hermes, and if they're getting them from the Hermes store in Japan, then they've obviously got to add a markup on it, or if they're consigning it for someone else. So I do find that their new items are very expensive, unfortunately, but pre-loved, there are some fairly good deals from Ginza Zayoma. I should have also mentioned that pretty much everywhere I buy from, I like to make sure that that obviously that they've got a business accreditation, you know, that they're a registered business. I like to ensure that they generally accept PayPal. However, not all of them do that I have in my recommendations, but I tend to prefer to deal with ones that accept PayPal. I get a bit funny when it comes to transferring money, but then again, at the same time, these places are all reputable that I could very well do so. It's just that that's just my instinct. I just prefer to pay with PayPal. That's just me, okay? But I will always say that when it comes to buying bags that you're not buying from the store, you really need to get them authenticated. Always get them authenticated. Always. I would always recommend that you get 2 authentications. I would recommend that you get an authentication done with Baba Baby. Baba Baby is known to be the very best authenticator with Hermes. And then I would also recommend that you get one done with Real Authentication. Real Authentication is very experienced. Even though they are not as well known as Baba Baby for Hermes, Real Authentication gets a lot of inventory. They do a lot of authenticity checks, and they have a very well educated team when it comes to checking authenticity. So I do recommend Real Authentication as the second point of authenticity. You should always get 2. I do have a coupon code with Real Authentication that gets you $5 off. I'll just put it on the screen and in the description bar down below as well for you guys. For me, for me personally, what I do, I just get it authenticated by Real Authentication. But if I were to get something that was, say, very rare, say if it was like a So Black item or something like that, or was something that was like a very rare production, I would actually then get Baba Baby to do it. But that's because I can authenticate my own bags. I've been buying Hermes for quite some time now, so I do know a lot about the craftsmanship. That's my own personal, you know, experience, but I would always say to everyone else, get 2 authentications done so you have peace of mind. Now, the next place that I bought from, I no longer have the bag, but it was my Constance 18 in Blue Electric in Tadillac, and I bought that from Femi.Authentics. She is again a consignment store. She is based predominantly only on Instagram as well, so again, her Instagram handle will be on the screen. The owner of Femi.Authentics is Shirley. She is a fantastic lady. She is so friendly, very, very nice, pleasant to deal with. I know some other people that have since bought with her and they had said the same thing, that she's very pleasant to deal with. I also found that when it comes to buying pre-loved from her, she always gave you an abundance of photos so you could see the condition of the bag. She'd give you a video as well. So she was very thorough and very sweet as well, very patient, because I know that when it comes to buying pre-loved, it is a little bit more difficult than when you say buying brand new. You're expecting that the bag should be what it is directly from the store, fresh out of the box. But pre-loved, you want to make sure that you can see every angle, everything, and make sure you're not getting any nasty surprises. So I found that with Shirley, she was very patient with that, with questions. So the next bag is my Kelly 25 in Grey Asphalt. I have owned this for a couple years now. I bought this back in, I think it was my birthday in 2018. And I got this from a Singapore consignment store, again, based predominantly on Instagram, called Jail99IG. Hopefully I've said that around the right way. So I got this bag from her, and I got it for a very good deal in my opinion, because it was actually brand new, hardware seals, receipt, everything like that. And even though at the time I paid over the retail price, it worked out to be pretty good, because now it is pretty much the same as the price of this bag is pretty much only little less than $1,000 over what the current retail price is now. So I'm very happy that I did buy it when I did. The Hermes secondhand market has changed quite a lot. Pre-loved bags, brand new. Prices have gotten quite high, especially because of the pandemic. So it is good to shop around, and it is good to know places that are quite reputable and trustworthy, so you can shop around and try and at least get the, you know, the price that you're comfortable to pay with, or the lowest price that's available. So JL99 IG, also fantastic to deal with, very efficient, quick shipping, all that jazz. The other thing I wanted to mention as well is that what you'll probably find with these Singapore consignment stores that I'm mentioning is that sometimes there is the same product listed across their Instagrams. So how it works in like Singapore and Malaysia is that they will get virtual consignments. So they will get people that are trusted clients that they know of, have dealt with before. What will happen is that their client will send them a photo of the bag, and then they'll send, obviously, the consignment store multiple photos so they know the condition of it, and they will virtually consign the item. And they will virtually consign the item with multiple consignment stores. So it's not like, say, you know, let's give, for example, Fashionphile, okay? If you consign an item with Fashionphile, they take the item from you and they keep it in their shelves, you know, in their inventory. But with virtual consignments in Singapore, they take the pictures, or the customer will bring the bag to the store, and the consignment store will take all the photos of the bag, but then the owner gets to hold on to the bag until it is sold, until a deposit has been paid for the bag. So that's what they call virtual consignment, and they are within their right to advertise across multiple consignment stores. And that is why you might see the same bag. Let's say, for example, you see a Kelly 25 and sombrero being listed by o.b.s.g. You might also see it being listed by Femi Authentics. You might see it being listed by JL99 IG. You know, it may be listed by all of them, but it's just the one bag. And it's just that they're trying to get the biggest audience that they can get for the sale of their item. That's just how virtual consignments do tend to work in Singapore. It's not always the case. There are sometimes consignments where it is physically being held at the actual shop. Or there are sometimes consignments where it's just only one of the consignment stores are selling it for their client, and they're not listing it across platforms. So hopefully I've kind of explained that a bit, because I do get that question quite a lot. Oh, I've seen such and such was selling that bag, but such and such was also selling it too. And that hopefully explains it for you guys. The other bag that I did get as well from the secondhand market, which I no longer have, is my Kelly 32 in CL. I got that from Your Authentic Seller, who is again another Singaporean based consignment store. He is very, very knowledgeable. The owner is Garrick, and I found that when it comes to his inventory, he always has a lot of the rare bags available, like vintage bags that you can't find anymore, discontinued styles, some rare exotics, So Black. He gets a lot of the really rare items that are collectibles, a lot of dobless, the suede type bags. So I think that he is fantastic to watch if you're one of those kind of collectors that really wants to get rare pieces from Hermes, and especially ones that are being discontinued. So yeah, Garrick, great guy. I also find that he was quite efficient as well in posting. All of these people were very efficient when it came to posting out the item and dealing with them. Now, there has been some other Hermes bags that I did get as well from the secondhand market, but I no longer have, and they were from the Japanese secondhand market. And I used to buy from Rakuten Global Marketplace. Rakuten Global Marketplace was essentially like Japan eBay. That's pretty much what it was, except it was all luxury designer goods or items being sold by Japanese consignment stores. But unfortunately, they did close down, and I believe it was actually due to the pandemic that they really couldn't offer it as a global marketplace anymore. So you can still shop Japan through Rakuten. You just have to go through Rakuten Ichiba, but it's all going to be in Japanese, so you do have to translate it, and it's a little bit more tricky. You tend to have to use Rakuten Global Express just to ship your items, and at the moment with the pandemic, postage is not the same as what it was before. So even for Australia, we can't get items shipped to us by EMS. Okay, so my son has joined me. All right, now, so I pretty much covered where I have bought my Hermes bags from. Now I'm going to move on to some recommendations. So this has also got some updates to it as well, as to places that I definitely recommend that you could potentially get your Hermes bags, you know, pre-loved, new, whatever it may be. My first recommendation is actually a personal friend of mine, and that is Conrad's Closet. So Conrad's Closet is based in Queensland, Australia. So that is really great for anyone who is obviously an Australian buyer. It does take a lot of the hassle when it comes out to doing the exchange rate and all that sort of thing and worry about duties and taxes. So the owner of Conrad's Closet is Connor. He, like I said, is a personal friend of mine. He's fantastic to deal with, so I can only give gloating recommendations for him. Very friendly, very knowledgeable when it comes to Hermes, extremely knowledgeable. So if you are based in Australia, I highly recommend checking out following Conrad's Closet. He is based on Instagram, so just follow him on Instagram, but he does also ship international too. So if you are an international buyer, definitely watch out for his page because he does have some really, really good pricing when it comes to the elusive bags, Birkins, Kellys. He had a mini Lindy that sold for a very reasonable price considering that I typically see the mini Lindy sell for about $15,000 Australian. His sold for about $13,000 Australian. He also does accept PayPal as well, so you've got that peace of mind too. I'm going to continue on with some Australian consignment stores just for my fellow Aussie viewers, but I'm pretty sure that all of these stores will post internationally anyway. I know for sure the next one I'm going to mention does, and that is ThePurseAffair. So ThePurseAffair is on Instagram and also has a website. The owner is Angela and Alex. They are a husband and wife duo that own ThePurseAffair. Very lovely to deal with, very friendly people. This one is Designerarchives Australia. They are based in Queensland and they are very well known for being like a consignment store for Hermes. They were probably one of the first that we had in Australia when it came to more so specializing in Hermes, and I'm pretty sure that they do post internationally too. Inventory is okay. I'm noticing that they don't have a lot, but when they do tend to have an Hermes item, they are usually more on the rarer side, something that you may not see very often. They are on Instagram and they also have a website, and I believe they have a showroom in Queensland. Also, ThePurseAffair has a showroom in Victoria as well, in case you're wanting to actually go in and have a look. Another Australian one is Luxit Forward, and I believe they are based in New South Wales in Sydney. They have Instagram, website and actual physical store. They don't often get Hermes items, but sometimes when they do, they are usually very fairly priced. Actually, sometimes you even see them under retail for their Hermes items. So that's all I have for like actually Australian based consignment stores. The next ones that I'm going to move on to are recommendations, places that I know perhaps I haven't bought from them, or I know someone who has, or I know based on like the Singaporean market and other sellers that I have dealt with, and they can actually vouch for them. And the next one is Lux Biney. Lux Biney, again, Singaporean consignment store. So she does have a lot of new items, so she's more focuses on new Hermes items, so sometimes the pricing can be quite high, but it really just depends. You know, if you're on in the market for a new bag, you know, you always have to pay a premium when it comes to new bags, no doubt about it, but she also does have some pre-loved items too. Next one is SG Dreamy Collection. SG Dreamy Collection usually has pre-loved items, but I find that her pricing is very, very reasonable. She doesn't have a big inventory like some of the other Singaporean consignment stores, but the items that she does have, I find to be very reasonably priced. So if you're looking for a pretty good deal when it comes to pre-loved, obviously there's still going to be premiums involved. It is Hermes, but I just find that her pricing is pretty good. Next one is Sia SG, My Beautiful Bags. Again, another Singaporean based consignment store, has a very decent inventory, pre-loved and brand new. Great to deal with, very friendly lady. All these people that I am like referring are very nice people to deal with. I wouldn't deal with anyone who is like grouchy. That's just, I wouldn't want to give my money to a grouchy person, really. Why would you? The next one is Deluxe Series 13. A lot of the inventory from this Singaporean consignment store is new, but they sometimes have some pre-loved pieces, but I just noticed majority of them are new pieces. So again, the premium may be a bit high, but a great selection of items. If you're looking for that perfect bag and you're happy to pay the premium, it is great to go ahead and follow all of these consignment stores. So all the ones that I am mentioning are based on Instagram. Some of them do have their own showrooms though in Singapore. And then the next one is Ruella Mode. Ruella Mode is actually well known by Jamie Chua. Jamie Chua has promoted them, buys from Ruella Mode. So yeah, definitely very reputable consignment store. Jamie Chua is massive. She's a massive influencer. And then some of the other ones that I have are more obvious and we do know about them already, and that is Fashionphile. So Fashionphile is an American-based consignment store. Vestiaire Collective, highly recommend Vestiaire Collective, because Vestiaire Collective, why I do love them, even though I'm yet to buy an Hermes bag from them, but I definitely will, is because Vestiaire Collective covers everywhere all over the world. It is a consignment store for absolutely everyone who wants to consign an item pretty much. So, you know, it could be a seller from Europe, could be a seller from Asia, could be a seller from even Australia, but then you also get the peace of mind as well that it has to go through the Vestiaire Collective authenticity check. So they have multiple checks that they go through for the Hermes items to make sure that the item is authentic before it gets shipped to you as the buyer. Obviously you have to pay before it even gets to that process, but yeah, I do love Vestiaire Collective for that. And the other thing I love is that with Vestiaire Collective you have to pay the taxes and duties at checkout, so you don't get any nasty surprises. Like, you don't get a contact from, like, say DHL saying you owe $3,000, you know, that you didn't really plan for. So with Vestiaire Collective they add the tax at checkout when you're paying, so that's it. Whatever you pay at checkout with the taxes included, you're done and dusted, you're just waiting on your bag. The other one is The Real Real. So The Real Real is, again, another US based consignment store, a lot of pre-loved Hermes items. Yogi's Closet, US based consignment store yet again. Anne's Fabulous Finds, I actually consigned with them before, my Constance 24 in Green Moet. Yeah, that is pretty much the places that I recommend when it comes to looking for your Hermes items. There is some other ones that I do know of, but I know as well Ladonna Luxe, but she just doesn't always get Hermes items, but she does have other designer brands. I will leave her details down below. I do know her well. I speak to her on Instagram, so she's very reputable consignment store too, but she doesn't specialize in Hermes, and I'm trying to sort of focus more so on the places that specialize more so in Hermes or have a very good inventory for it. But yeah, that's it. That is all that I have, my updated where I buy my Hermes bags and recommendations on buying your Hermes bags. I haven't included eBay this time around. The only thing I would say with eBay is Japanese consignment stores through eBay. You can trust them. But otherwise, yeah, it can be a bit funny. The good thing about eBay is that they do have a lot of buyer protection. So that's something I can definitely say and attest to. But you just want to make sure you get completely checked and authenticated, because eBay doesn't do it for you. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!